I want to go to New South Wales, James. There's a poll out today. I mean, there's a poll out every day at the moment. We've got an election on the 25th of March. But this one this morning, Sydney Morning Herald Resolve poll. It says Labor's primary voters increased 1 point to 38%. The coalition, they're saying, has slipped 2 points to 32%. Clearly, it's going to be a tighter contest than first expected. There's a difference in those polls over recent weeks, but we're seeing a bit of panic out there today by the opposition leader in Western Sydney. I don't suspect on the night we're going to get a uniform result. Give us your sense of things.
Yeah, look, my sense of things, I think is probably pretty similar to yours, Peter. You know, here in New South Wales, there's just this sense that Chris Minns hasn't sealed the deal, and he has been such a small target running through this campaign that voters just simply don't know who he is. And even if they do know who he is, they've got no idea who the rest of his team is. And there's no sense that baseball bats are really out, you know, for the Perrottett government on any major issue. There's no sort of sense of it's time that's you know, seeing him floundering in the polls. I reckon this is going to be very close. I suspect whoever winds up getting over the line is going to get there in a minority government, and I think that's more likely than not going to be Dom Perrottett. That's just my own prediction, Peter.
Yeah, it feels like it's vanilla versus beige at the moment, and I say that with a heavy heart because I'm a Conservative, so is Perrottett, but you wouldn't know it from his policies.
Well, you know, that's right. And part of the problem Dom Perrottett has had is that, you know, he has gone off and pandered so much to the left. And that's because of deals he's had to make, you know, with people like Matt Keane, also with, you know, independents like Alex Greenwich out there. And so he's wound up, you know, towing a very lefty line on a lot of things that's really alienated a lot of the base. Now, the question is whether or not they look at what's happened in Canberra the last week or two and say, hang on, even the most reasonable Labor guy is still going to come after your assets, after your business, after whatever. We've still got to stick with this guy. That remains to be seen.
My husband's worked a long time in politics. He calls it DCB politics, dull, colourless and boring. And I think that speaks to both leaders there.
I think that nails it, yeah.
Let's go to Victoria. A war of words has erupted today about this proposed second injecting room for Melbourne. A former Police Commissioner, Kel Lay, he's had 2 years to land a report. We know the Premier wants this second injecting room. We know he does because they've already bought the building in Flinders Street or near to Flinders Street in the CBD. When pushed on it yesterday, this is what the Premier said.
I'm not certain. I'm not certain when we're due to receive that.
So he's been waiting for this report for 2 years, doesn't have it. But then this morning, his Treasurer, Tim Pallas, had this to say.
We are reassessing the recommendations that Mr Lay gave to us, which talked about the location for a second safe injecting facility. And the reason for that is, of course, a lot has changed since the pandemic.
So clearly the report's landed, James. The government doesn't like what Lay's report said, and then they've flicked it back to him and basically told him to rewrite his report. I mean, you and I can read that, can't we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, you know, in this sort of government sort of thing, you never commission a report without making it fairly known what the answer you're going to want is going to wind up being. Now, I don't know where this second injecting room will ultimately land. Frankly, you know, knowing what I do know, I don't live in Melbourne, but I've seen a lot of the reports, and we've spoken about the first one here on this program many times over the years, Peter. You know, I would be pretty nervous about a second one opening up there for sure.
James Morrow, I'll leave it there. London to a brick, we've got one coming for Melbourne in the CBD. We just haven't been told about it. Thank you, James.